Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into some news from PodcastOne's Incorporated, and let's just say the latest report might have some whispers of what's to come, or maybe just a quiet hum. Before we start, if you think deciphering these corporate documents is a superpower, hit that subscribe button, and hey, join our Discord. Linked in the description where we break down all this juicy corporate talk. So, PodcastOne's Incorporated, a name many of you might recognize in the podcasting world, has dropped a report that gives us a peek at their recent performance. It's not a full deep dive into everything, but it does touch on some pretty important stuff, especially regarding their financial results. This filing is essentially a current report, meaning they're sharing information they believe is important for investors right now. It's like a quick update bulletin from the company. The company itself is PodcastOne's Incorporated. They are incorporated in Delaware, and their stock trades on the NASDAQ capital market under the ticker symbol PODC. They've got common stock, and it's pretty low par value, which is typical for publicly traded companies. Now, here is something interesting. PodcastOne's Incorporated is checking the box as an emerging growth company. This means they can take advantage of certain relaxed regulatory requirements, giving them a bit more breathing room as they grow. It essentially means they're still in that phase where they have less than $1 billion in gross revenue, or they haven't issued a lot of debt in the last 3 years. It's a common status for many newer public companies. The main meat of this report, at least the part that grabs our attention financially, comes under the results of operations and financial conditions section. This is where companies talk about how they've been doing financially. So, on the 12th of February 2026, PodcastOne's Incorporated put out a press release. This release covered their financial highlights for the third quarter, which ended on the 31st of December of 2025, and also for the first 9 months of that same year. Financial reports, especially for publicly traded companies, are really about transparency and letting investors know how the business is performing. Think of it as the company's report card. Then we have this section on Regulation FD disclosure, which stands for fair disclosure. Basically, this is to make sure that when a company shares important information, they share it with everyone at the same time, not just a select few. This part tells us that the day before releasing their financial highlights on the 11th of February, they announced they were going to have a conference call. This call was scheduled for the 12th of February, and it was meant to update everyone on the business and discuss those third quarter results we just mentioned. So they're not just dropping the numbers, they're giving a heads up that they'll be talking about them. It's like saying, we're going to talk about our grades tomorrow. And finally, this section lists the exhibits. These are the actual documents attached to this report. Exhibit 99.1 is the press release with the actual financial results. This is where we'd find the nitty-gritty numbers. Exhibit 99.2 is the press release announcing the conference call. And this last one is for the electronic filing system, making it searchable. Now, let's talk about what these financial results might mean. Unfortunately, this particular filing doesn't contain the full financial tables directly within the text we have here. It mostly points to press releases that contain those details. However, the fact that they are reporting these highlights means they have figures to share. When companies release their financial results, we're usually looking for key indicators of their health and direction. For a company like PodcastOne's Incorporated, in the competitive podcasting and advertising space, we'd be looking at things like revenue growth, profitability, and how they are managing their costs. Are they attracting more listeners, which translates into ad revenue? Are their expenses growing faster than their income, which could signal trouble? The press releases mentioned here would be the place to find answers to those questions. If the press releases talked about strong revenue growth, you could imagine that means they're either getting more advertisers or the advertisers they have are spending more because podcasts are reaching more ears. If they mention improved profitability, that's a great sign. It means they're not just making money, but they're keeping more of it after paying their bills. Conversely, if revenues are flat or declining and costs are rising, that could be a warning sign, suggesting they might be losing market share or struggling to control their spending. As an emerging growth company, PodcastOne's Incorporated has the flexibility to either keep its accounting standards more current or use extended transition periods for new accounting rules. The filing doesn't specify which they've chosen, but it's a detail that can impact how their financials are presented and compared to other companies. In the grand scheme of things, these filings, even when they're referencing external press releases, give us a crucial glimpse into how a company is performing. The fact that they're holding a conference call shows they want to engage with investors and analysts, which is usually a good sign. It suggests they have something to talk about, hopefully good news, and they're willing to answer questions. From what we can see here, PodcastOne Incorporated is keeping investors informed about its operating and financial condition through press releases. While this particular snippet doesn't reveal the exact numbers, it alerts us to where we can find them, which is in the attached press releases, for any investor understanding these numbers: revenue, profit. Cash flow from operations is key to understanding the company's long-term prospects. Looking at the bigger picture, PodcastOne Incorporated operates in a dynamic market. The podcasting industry continues to evolve, with new platforms and content emerging regularly. Success often hinges on user engagement, effective monetization strategies, and a strong advertising sales force. The financial results would tell us if they are successfully navigating these challenges and capitalizing on opportunities. Now, for my take, this filing itself is more of a procedural update than a deep dive into numbers. It's a pointer towards the actual financial disclosure, which is in the press releases. The fact that they are an emerging growth company is a point to note, as it affords them some regulatory flexibility. What we really need to see are those numbers from the press releases. Without them, it's hard to say if PodcastOne Incorporated is soaring or just coasting. The market is competitive, and consistent revenue growth and profitability are usually the best indicators of a healthy business. Any signs of sustained losses or declining revenue would be a red flag, while improvements in these areas would signal a company moving in the right direction. The key risk for any company in this space is the ability to consistently attract listeners and advertisers in a crowded market, and to manage the costs associated with content creation and distribution. Alright, that's our breakdown of PodcastOne Incorporated's latest filing. What are your thoughts on these financial updates, and what do you think they mean for the company's future? Drop your take in the comments below. If this analysis was helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss future deep dives. And remember, our Discord community is linked in the description, so come join the conversation there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.